Welcome back to It's a Tool Thing. Today with a little comparison video, first look at these new SK X-frame ratchet wrenches compared to the gear wrench ones that I've been using. I don't use ratchet wrenches near enough, but I'm going to put these through their paces and see what I think. As you can see here, got 3/4, and then I put the all the way down to 3/8 of an inch, and I put the gear wrench one next to it. As you can see, the 3/8 size is slightly shorter, and that stair step keeps in pace, which is a nice feature. Looks like it's a little bit longer on the 3/4, but I like the fact they are stair stepped, and these aren't neither one of these are the kind where they use the same size wrench twice and just cut a different broach into it. The advantages with the SKs right off the bat, let's set you in the holder here. The SKs, first off, they have a locking feature, gripping feature on the open end. They're running a 6-point, which I have a little misgivings about, but I think for a ratchet wrench would be perfectly fine. And of course I'll have 12.1s as backups in case I need it for a 12-pointed fastener. They're running a different kind of ratchet mechanism, which is pretty smooth. I don't know if you can hear that on camera. And they seem well built. Got a nice thick edge for putting some leverage on. And one of my favorite features, so it's USA made. It's always nice to get a USA made tool. Sometimes it's just not possible. These might be the only ones besides maybe the Snap-on, actual Snap-on brand ones, I think might also be USA made. I know somebody that has a set of the Snap-on. I'm not sure if they're bent ends or if they're just the straight ends. But I'll see about maybe borrowing one of those just to maybe do a comparison to those. He has them in their Flank Drive Plus also. I'm not exactly sure how large of a set he has, or if he only has metric or standard, but I do know he has some. As compared to the gear wrench, which have been okay. You can see here, gear wrench, the chrome's coming up. I don't know how well that's coming up on camera. There we go. One of my big complaints about the gear wrench ones, these aren't super bad, but the newer ones, they're getting the lobster claw going. These actually aren't that bad. They're a reasonable size, and I actually would prefer just to have, even on those X frames, just have double ratcheting box in. I mean, it is nice. In this case, I would give an exception on these SKs because at least they have a nice open end locking feature. So it's a decent wrench, but I mean, there's so many sets you have where you get these straight and you get them bent and you get them flexed, and the other side's always a stupid open end. And I mean, you need another set open ends. You don't need 50 sets open ends. And if you had double box in, you would have half as many wrenches in your drawer to be able to save a little space. And I do have some that are double box in, but it's fairly uncommon. I think they're just looking at it as, well, we'll sell you another set of wrenches, because I mean, if they really wanted to, they could do, ratcheting box in, fixed box in, which I do have. I have some that are ratcheting on both sides, but I don't know if I've ever seen one, but why not do a ratcheting on one end and then a flex head ratcheting same size on the other end with a flex head, so that you would have, more choices and not get a whole bunch of these open ends. These ratcheting wrenches have been pretty good. I'm assuming they're Chinese made because they don't even say Taiwan on them. But they do operate pretty well. Slightly more drag than the SKs, at least up in the 3/4. They do feel good in the hand, these SKs. They feel sturdy. I really haven't got a chance to use them. I just purchased these used, so I'm gonna have to put them through their paces. But generally speaking, I'm usually happy with SK tools, though I tend not to buy them a lot because a warranty is an issue for me. Especially if I'm not getting a good price on them. I mean, I'm not going to pay full price for SK stuff and then have to deal with trying to ship them back and all that if you do have a failure. If I get a good deal on them like I did on this set, I'm willing to take the risk. I've heard good things about these X-frames, so I thought I'd give them a shot. Once again, 11/16. We'll just go through them real quick here. 5/8. Nice chrome on them. I'm not real picky about my chrome necessarily, but they look like it's in pretty good shape. And these are used, and I don't see any flaking that I've noticed on these SKs. Just kind of jump through them here. So, and I'm curious too, it looks like you can actually take these apart, like they're actually rebuildable. There's 2 little pins. Every single one of these has it on one side, so I think you might be able to unscrew that. I'm not sure. It doesn't move when you ratchet it, the pins, so I'm thinking that's actually some kind of threaded piece there. So they might be rebuildable, which is always a plus. I don't know if you could get the parts for them just to rebuild it yourself, or for something you'd have to send in, but it shows a little bit of initiative when you make something that you feel like it's valuable enough that it's worth rebuilding, not just throwing in the trash can. I mean, obviously, if you broke the open end, there wouldn't be much you could do about it. But I would think 90% of any failures on a ratcheting wrench is going to be the ratcheting mechanism slipping over time. I don't know if you can hear that one. Barely hear that thing. It does look like it has fairly thin bezels for the actual thing. And the head thickness looks like it's thicker, but I was actually putting a caliper on it, or a cheap version of a caliper, I suppose. Just not necessarily getting numbers, but just comparing them. In fact, we'll do that here real quick. Here's a 3/8. So these are fairly decent little measuring tools, but they're not digital or nothing like that. We'll go to a point up at the top on each one of these. That's nice and tight in there. That's the 3/8. We'll compare it to this 3/8 here. Gear wrench. I don't know how well that comes up on camera, but there is a little bit of a gap. Not much. It could make the difference. I don't know how well. There you go. There's a good shot of it. It could make the difference on that, because gear wrenches, sometimes they just won't fit on a fastener anyways. You have to go to a regular box end or socket. And then we'll compare it to this larger one here, 3/4, the largest one that I got in the set. Set that up near the top. And then measure into the end of there. Got a pretty tight fit there. Here we go. And then we'll compare it to this 3/4 12-point. Again, it looks like we have a little bit of gap there. That on camera. So they are definitely a good 1/8 of an inch, maybe thicker than the gear wrench, but not a lot. They're pretty rounded on the side. I couldn't tell when I just actually physically stuck them up here, and I couldn't tell that they were of any different size, but maybe just ever so slightly. So I will do a follow-up after I get these into service and use them for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, depending on when I get the opportunity to give them a test. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and have a great day. Comment down below.